Welcome to yet another edition of the IKC Community Show. IKC Communities is presented by India Kitchen Congress and is the place where change makers from the kitchen and cabinet industry meet. I'm honored to have today with me Keshav Bhajanka, Executive Director of Century Plyboards India Limited, the Kolkata-based panels and laminates manufacturer. Keshav is the driving force behind Century's foray into the MDF and flooring businesses, as well as the company's strategy to capture the luxury space in the decorative laminates market. Keshav and I are going to be talking about the changing dynamics of the panels and laminates industry and consequently the furniture industry. We'll also be talking about how Century is addressing these new challenges and opportunities. Hello, Keshav. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
The Ministry of Commerce and Trade has issued quality control orders for wood-based boards and resin-treated compressed wood laminates in the last couple of months. They've made BIS certification compulsory for these product categories. The draft QCO for plywood and wood flush door shutters has also been circulated, proposing compulsory BIS certification. Interestingly, even for a number of furniture categories, including storage units, compulsory BIS certification has been proposed. How do you think the panel and laminates industry will be impacted by these policy changes?
I think that, this is a very, very pertinent question because whenever we look at any change that takes the industry more towards the organized side, the organized or the larger players tend to benefit and the smaller players get impacted. The reason that this is relevant is because today we are already following all of these certifications. I will not manufacture a substandard product no matter what happens because my reputation is at the stake. But if you look at the unorganized players, for them, the main advantage is cost. Now, the only reason that they have a cost advantage is because of substandard products. Today, we have economies of scale, we have access to better raw material, we have access to better logistics and supply chain. So by definition, our product quality at the same price is going to be superior. So when you look at players who are taking advantage of the system by giving substandard products to the consumer, then this is a very, very good step in the right direction taken by the government. And going forward, it will definitely benefit all the organized players. And by extension, being the market leader, it should benefit us as well.
How is Century responding to these mandates? Are you already certified or will you be going ahead for the certificate?
So we are the industry standard. So I don't need to be pompous when I'm saying this, but we are already certified and we have all necessary certification relevant to the Indian market.
The government has listed furniture among 24 subsectors as part of the Make in India 2.0 for making India a global manufacturing hub. Can we infer from these policy decisions that the government is preparing the ground for a production-linked incentive scheme, the PLI, for furniture?
I think better late than never. We have been discussing this with the government for years now. And you see, it is not just a simple furniture export. Today, if you look at it, one of the biggest problems in this country is pollution. The reason why pollution has increased is because there is no increase in green cover. The reason there's no increase in green cover is because forestry cannot grow. And for agroforestry to grow, you need demand. It is a crop. If you have a buyer, people will grow it. If you don't have a buyer, people will not. So today, the government of India needed to prioritize on this segment, I think years ago. But like I said, better late than never. Now, with regards to furniture, going forward, there are three things that furniture provides. First, import substitution. Today, a substantial part of our domestic furniture is being imported. Second, like I've already mentioned, green cover. And third, livelihood. Livelihood by virtue of agroforestry, by virtue of manufacture of raw materials such as us, plywood, laminate, MDF, particle board, so on and so forth. And then direct employment in furniture-based units. So for the government, it is an absolute win-win. And I am sure the PLI is not too far away. Um, Globally, India is going to be the hub of consumption. We are already the most populous country in the world. So there are three basic requirements, right? Roti, kapda, makan. So I think the country is more or less fed now. You don't see too many naked people on the street anymore. So the next requirement is going to be a space where everyone feels safe and comfortable, which is a home. So going forward, from my point of view, I am amply clear that we are going to be the consumption hub for homes and by extension, home furnishing in the form of furniture, in the form of so many other things. And if you look at the economic growth cycle that took place in the US or in China, I'm taking these two because these two are large economies that have grown. It began with the housing boom. So today, I think the government has finally become privy to a reality that they should have realized much earlier, and hopefully the implementation will be much faster.
So you mentioned forest cover as one of the ways in which environment can be controlled. Would that call for a renewed forest policy?
We are aggressively working on the same. So my father, by virtue of being the president of the Federation of Indian Plywood Industry, has been lobbying the government for this for quite some time, and we finally seem to have made some headway. So I'm hoping that in the near future we will see some changes taking place in the forest laws. Agroforestry is a crop. It's like wheat, it's like rice, it's like wheat, it's like any of these cash crops. And today, if you take 5% of India's arable land and you convert it into agroforestry, you will see a sea change in both the pollution index and in sustainability of an entire set of industries, whether it is plywood, whether it is paper, whether it is MDF particle board, whether it is furniture. So I think a new forest policy is required, but it is, in my opinion, in the works already.
What might be some of the key additions or upgradations to the existing policy?
I think taking it more towards a cash crop than a forest. That is the basic essence of the change. Today, we need to realize that agroforestry is being done for a limited number of species for the purpose of using this within a 3 to 4 year time cycle to get a remuneration of land. The only difference is in rice, it might be in 6 months. Here, the duration is longer. So the treatment needs to be similar to the same.
That might also be another avenue for boosting our exports. If we are able to develop responsible forestry, because the demand for wood-based products comes from all over the world.
To be very honest, I think, we are underestimating the demand potential in India going forward. I think, given the current scenario, there's a long way to go before we can think about export. The priority needs to be catering to the growth that will take place near to home.
So in that sense, if this production linked scheme comes into play, and of course, at the same time, I agree that the forest policy will also have to come into play simultaneously, the new one. The furniture industry can be seeing a lot of new investment from within India and from overseas. How do you see that playing out? What transformation do you see in the furniture industry?
I think the transformation is here already. Today, there is massive increase in the number of OEMs that have come up. There is increasing amount of mechanization that is taking place. And going forward, this trend is likely to continue. Furniture is the need of the hour, and it is only going to increase in the near future and in the distant future as well. So I think this change has already started coming. Now, with all of these initiatives, as you have very correctly mentioned, the pace should increase.
The pace of more investments coming in, more plants coming up?
Yes,
And what about scale? What kind of scale should we be looking at? The
I
volume.
think we need to create scale that is comparable or competitive with global players. Today, if you want to be competitive, you need to have the same sort of a size as units in a Vietnam or a China have. So considering the current base, I think capacities are going to be far larger. Let me give you the example of MDF. Initially, in MDF, sizes were 150, unit size was 150 cubic meters. Today, the new units that are coming in, the smallest I would say would be a 800 cubic meters. So you need to change scale if you want to become competitive. That will happen in furniture as well.
So your investments in new capacities of MDF and particle board seem to be quite well timed. You are already on way to set up new greenfield facilities in South India. What is the demand gap for these materials in the country? And how are you poised to address that demand?
I think, like I've mentioned, the demand for plywood, laminate, MDF, particle board is going to continue to grow. We are not just investing in MDF in the south, we are investing in a single greenfield unit that has both MDF and PVC board and laminates. Alongside that, we're investing in a new greenfield unit in Hoshiarpur for plywood. Alongside that, we're investing in a new greenfield unit for particle board in Tamil Nadu. So the reason I'm saying this is because across product categories, what I've been mentioning and harping on from the start is that the way for India is just up. Consumption will go up. There is no stopping us. Today, we are perhaps the growth drivers of the world, and I think this is going to continue. There is no realistic scenario unless there's another COVID or something of that sort where you can see a halt to India's growth momentum. I'm saying it might increase, decrease, 1% बढ़ जाएगा, 1% कम होगा. But India is going to grow. So in this scenario, we are preparing ourselves. And I think, all across, there are multiple opportunities.
Can you put a number to the investments that you earmarked for your materials?
Between 2022-23 till 24-25. So 22-23, 23-24, 24-25, we would be investing close to 2,000 crores in the form of capex, which is more than 2x of our total investment in the 35 years that preceded it.
And how is this investment allocated?
I think a large chunk of the investment would be towards MDF and particle board. The reason being that they are far more capital intensive. The asset turnover ratio in plywood and laminates is typically far higher. Plywood would be close to 4, laminate would be 3 plus. But the MDF and particle board it is typically between 1 is to 1.5. Hence, a large chunk of it will be towards MDF and particle board, a smaller chunk towards plywood and laminate.
Your business is dominated by plywood. But going forward, do you see more of your business, the proportion from MDF and particle board increasing?
That's a very difficult question because MDF and particle board, the pace of growth will of course be higher because today we are at 100% capacity utilization. As new capacities come in, you'll be able to scale faster. But plywood is the largest chunk and it is a growing segment on its own. So I think while plywood, laminates, MDF, particle board all will grow at their own respective paces, the fact that MDF and particle board have a smaller base will enable us to grow them higher in percentage. So the overall portion of plywood to the total pie might reduce, but how much, how meaningfully, it's difficult to quantify right now.
Is furniture the major consumer for all these three materials, plywood, MDF, and particle board?
Yes.
So globally, plywood continues to hold sway.
Let's take the example because global data is difficult to a certain differs from Europe to other. Let's take the example of China. China, the total plywood capacity is 165 million cubic meters per annum. India's capacity is 10 million. China, MDF capacity is 60 million cubic meters per annum. India's is 3 million. China particle board capacity is 45 million cubic meters per annum. Closer to 50 now. India's is between 1.5 to 2. So, if you take the most like-to-like example, you'll see plywood continues to hold its position, but perhaps the growth that has been witnessed in the recent past has been more towards MDF and particle board.
What technological innovations are you planning to bring into your MDF and particle board?
We are working on a number of them. Unfortunately, I can't divulge too much, but we're a company that prides itself on our ability to innovate and on our ability to come up with something that is different. So both in MDF and particle board, we're working on some innovations. And I think in MDF, we're launching one innovation this month itself. So I think if we do this call, if we do another call by the end of the month, I should be able to give you a sneak peek.
How would your products stand up with respect to quality or formaldehyde emissions and price as compared to imports,
We're superior, both in terms of quality and in terms of price.
including emissions?
Yes.
So, as furniture manufacturers start looking for scale and becoming an efficiency driven due to digitization or mechanization, what have you, they're likely to become more demanding of their vendors. So, how are you ensuring that furniture manufacturers get more value while dealing with Century instead of just talking about prices?
I think, when furniture manufacturers get more demanding, then players such as us, we actually start gaining share. Because today, in terms of supply chain, in terms of logistic, in terms of the variety of products that we can provide, today, most of the unorganized or the semi-organized players in MDF, the smaller units, they will never be able to give a 3 board. They'll never be able to give a board at 1,000, 1,100 density. The only companies that can give you these products are the organized ones. And out of that, us being the market leader, we have every single range of product that the customer could want. So I think as they become more stringent, it benefits us more. And going forward, I'm hoping this trend continues.
I came across at a movie hall last week
What's that? That's a Manish Malhotra.
your promo of the
What, the
Manish Malhotra
laminate is a
laminates.
Manish Malhotra design?
That really woke me up. So, this recent partnership of yours with the designer Manish Malhotra for signature, it's a signature range of laminates. And
Yes.
I believe it's first of its kind premiumization in this industry. So, is this premiumization becoming a trend?
I think, while the industry, yes, premiumization is it is a trend. For us, it actually extends much beyond that. Today, we are the first. Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra is not just the first of its kind collaboration in the industry in India. It is the first of its kind collaboration in the world. The objective was simple. Today, give customers access to a product that they did not think was possible. So the entire ethos of this is creation of something that was different. Today, these aren't, laminates that have his signature on it. These are laminates that are designed by him. His signature prints have been converted into a laminate. From a piece of clothing to an extension within your home. That is the theme that we wanted to. We wanted fashion for your furniture. So I think that, it is more about a brand philosophy where we are trying to give our customers access to things that till very recently were unthinkable. So this was the concept behind it. Of course, premiumization does take place. It's not going to be a cheap product, but the objective was different.
How is this range of laminates going to be differentiated in the market in terms of design you mentioned, but in terms of, say, your marketing process, the retailing, or even the way they are applied?
There is no difference in retailing and the way it's applied. Today, we do not want to limit it to a certain select number of customers. Even if you are doing a house, okay, and where you are buying 100 sheets of laminates and you want two highlighter sheets, these can be the two highlighters. Basically, we wanted to give every single customer in the country the ability to bring Manish Malhotra home by virtue of century laminates. And if you look at his clothing, it's not realistic, right? The pricing is disproportionately higher. Here, that is not the case. So, what we have attempted to do is give mass premiumization, and hence we have kept it as similar. Yes, definitely, the design philosophy has been different. The cost would be maybe 2x that of a laminate, which is not very high to begin with. Even at 2x, it would be at maybe 120, 130 rupees a square foot. If you look at the cost of marble, it would be 10 times that. So what we have tried to ensure is mass premiumization. That has been the motto with which we have approached this.
But do you think premiumization is going to happen in the furniture category as well, in the sense, or may I rephrase my question? Is there going to be signature ranges of furniture?
They already are. That is increasing. Going forward, I definitely see this as a segment that is likely to gain more and more traction.
A recent IKEA report reveals that home furniture accounts for 60% of the total furniture market. And out of this home furniture market, almost 65% is accounted for by kitchens and wardrobes. What is your view about the kitchen and wardrobe segments? How are these segments growing in your opinion?
When you buy a house, you need to eat and you need a place to keep your clothes. So these two segments are going to be growth segments, at least in the medium to long term. I don't see any change towards that. You see, these are segments where the, the the customer requires these products, but there are different purchasing powers or there are different price propositions that customers are looking at. So regardless of the level of income that you have, these are the basics that you require in a house. So by virtue of having particle board, MDF, plywood, laminates, what we are trying to ensure is that we are present right throughout. We have product proliferation throughout the entire value chain. That is how we are addressing this issue, because if you can afford it, you will obviously go for a plywood kitchen. But if you can't afford it, you will still need a kitchen. It might be made of particle board or MDF.
MDF and particle board furniture works out cheaper than plywood?
Much.
And how significant are these segments in your overall business, the kitchen and wardrobe or kitchen and cabinetry? Will they be in the same ratio as what the IKEA report says?
I don't have data on it, so I won't like to comment. But yes, they would definitely be large segments, no doubt.
As you work with these OEMs who manufacture kitchen and wardrobes, what kind of, are there any unique solutions in terms of, say, the way of the logistics or advisory or any other product solutions that you offer them?
Definitely. Today, let me give you a simple example. We can offer an OEM a laminate and the same design in MDF for residential furniture usage in the form of pre-laminated MDF, and the same design in the form of a particle board for a commercial usage in the form of a pre-laminated particle board. It is the only company in India that can do that because we are present right across.
So that has an impact on their logistics, on their inventory levels.
More than that, it gives them the ability to ensure continuity of design right across. It gives them the ability to woo a customer. At the end of it, we're all looking to win customers. It could be a differentiated proposition for our customers to win customers for themselves.
skilled manpower or the lack of it is considered one of the major reasons why furniture sector has not achieved its full potential. There seems to be a realization that people are not interested to take up the woodworking profession, even though there's an increasing avenue for skill development. As an industry, how can we create greater respect for the trained carpenter or woodworker so that this profession becomes more aspirational?
I think that, we have all been working on this. Upskilling is taking place. We try and support in terms of training, we try and support in terms of whatever design support that is required. But here, there has to be one of working is changing. Today, it is becoming more mechanized. Like you had pointed out earlier, a lot of jobs that used to take place on site are now moving to OEMs. These might not be sizable, but the quantum of OEMs is growing. So, upskilling, I would say that rather than upskilling, parallel skilling for how to deviate from a handsaw to a mechanized machine. That is a training that is currently not widely available. And we are already discussing internally whether we can play some role in this, but very early to comment for us.
But otherwise, what is Century's contribution to the skilling movement?
Right across from organizing training sessions to recognition in the form of an ILP program for carpenters and contractors pan India to basic recognition of this profession as an individual who makes a difference to the customer's life. All of this is being moved forward by us in different ways.